Hi, everyone. There's a lot of research out there that shows that a different food system could change the world. So today I want to talk to you about agroecology, a method of farming that works in harmony with nature. You might hear it referred to as regenerative farming, holistic farming, sustainable, or traditional agriculture, and science shows that it can help in our fight against global climate change. I'm Julia Lenhart. I'm a researcher working on actually measuring the impacts of different ways of farming and how that relates to our use of the land, water, and technology. But before we can measure something, we need to know the science behind it, including agriculture and its relationship to climate change. So, global greenhouse gas emissions come from a number of major sources, and agriculture is responsible for over 20% of the world's emissions. The greenhouse gases from farming can include carbon dioxide, which I think you've heard a lot about, but also nitrous oxide and methane, which are also very powerful greenhouse gases. In industrial agriculture, which is what we see mostly here in the United States, these emissions are the result of things like poor soil management, synthetic fertilizers, fossil fuel-powered equipment, and deforestation. So poor soil management results from monocropping and tilling, basically soil disturbance. In agroecology, there's a larger focus on soil health improvement by minimizing disturbance of the soil, keeping the soil covered with different types of crops all year, and changing up the crops that you plant more often. All of this increases the amount of carbon being stored in the soil and reduces the amount of greenhouse gases in the air. It can also improve air quality and boost food production. Industrial agriculture also heavily relies on chemical man-made fertilizers, which can worsen soil health, and chemicals can run off the land and into nearby water sources. Agroecology uses natural fertilizers and frequently rotates crops to keep the soil full of nutrients that help plants grow. This can reduce greenhouse gas emissions from chemical fertilizers in the production of those fertilizers and the actual application of them. Industrial agriculture also largely relies on fossil fuel-powered equipment, which produces lots of greenhouse gases and other emissions that impact air quality, especially here in California. Agroecology uses and often produces more renewable energy sources and also focuses on reducing energy waste whenever possible. And finally, instead of deforestation, which is the actual destruction of forests to make way for farmland, agroecology uses a more integrated approach where livestock graze in and around a mix of forest and cropland, so that can improve biodiversity, minimize greenhouse gas emissions, and prevent soil erosion. So how does all of this help the environment and the people working the land? Well, the thing about all of those industrial agriculture practices is that because of those practices, it's actually more vulnerable to flood and drought, as well as new pests and diseases. And all of that will make farmers more vulnerable to lose income because of loss of crops and production from climate change. Agroecology makes farms more resilient to floods and droughts because healthier soils absorb more water during intense rainfalls, and water capture is a lot easier with healthier soils. Also, instead of relying on harmful agrochemicals to tackle new pests, agroecology depends on biological pest control, which is a little bit more resilient, especially when it comes to climate change. And actually, there have been studies that have shown that healthier soils can produce compounds that make plants and livestock more resistant to disease. And finally, because agroecology encourages these integrated systems, farmers' income is more protected because it's more diversified. It relies on a whole bunch of different things, especially if they're also receiving even a fraction of the subsidies that are currently enjoyed by industrial farms. So thank you for listening. If you want to learn more about how this is all working in the most important agricultural state in the country, check out my latest research and follow me on ResearchGate and LinkedIn. And if you want more information about how a different food system could change the world, make sure you check out this website.